Joining us now is GOP pollster and Director of Political Strategy at Signal, Mitchell Brown. Mitchell, thank you for joining us. Look, Trump sent shockwaves around the world, announcing that he sees long-term US ownership of Gaza. He says the US will take over the Gaza Strip to rebuild it as a beautiful place.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent.
It's a bold idea. Now, the president says that he wants peace in the region and he believes that the strength of America will be able to help bring about stability. But can I get your take on this? What's really going on behind the scenes here?
First, thanks for having me. Second, I think, like a lot of things Trump has done in these first 2 weeks here, it's using everything as a leverage tool for negotiations. Endgame here, this is a play at Iran. It's a terrorist proxy state funding everything that's going on in Gaza right now. So this is just sending a message to Iran. Trump also had some further statements about Iran here, but that's what this message was played to. So Trump doesn't actually have the intention of going in there and having U.S. military footprint in Gaza. This is just, again, drawing to a conclusion this conflict that Trump ran on. Trump said he was going to end the foreign wars there. So this is Trump pushing those kind of chips to the table, saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get the remaining hostages out, and we're going to close down the situation.
Earlier in the day, Trump unveiled an executive order reinstating a maximum pressure campaign against Iran. So Trump also made it clear that the US is not going to let Iran get nuclear weapons. What's your assessment of this? What are the geopolitical consequences of it?
I think the geopolitical consequences are a return to normalcy. We kind of have this seesaw that we have to get rid of. Obama obviously loosened all restrictions on Iran when he had his 8 years. Trump immediately came back in and applied this pressure that was then revoked again by Biden. What this pressure brought us was the Abraham Accords. It was countries coming to agreements with Israel that Trump fostered. It really is Iran that's driving this whole situation. Hezbollah, Hamas would not exist if it wasn't for the IRGC. This is what Trump knows. Trump was the first one to actually take action against Iran. Iran has a long history of funding different attacks amongst our troops in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. The killing of Soleimani showed what Trump's real initiative was to take on Iran. Here, we just have to go back to what we had in those previous 4 years under Trump, and from there we can build on those and really dismantle this regime.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called Trump the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated his goals for the conflict and says that Trump's ideas for the region are worth pursuing.
You are the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. And that's why the people of Israel have such enormous respect for you.
Look, the comments don't just show Donald Trump's strength, but they really expose Joe Biden's weakness here. What do you think?
Yeah, again, another thing, Trump has been America's greatest ally to Israel. A bunch of Republicans run on their support for Israel or their defense of Israel in the Middle East, but no one else has done what he did. He returned the embassy to Jerusalem. Again, he had the Abraham Accords. His relationship with Netanyahu is tried and true. Trump will continue to back Israel throughout this conflict and continue. I mean, you saw we've stopped all foreign aid except for aid to Israel and Egypt. Trump has no plans of backing away from this, and he's really been the only Republican president to deliver on these promises to the Israeli state.
Trump has withdrawn from the US from funding UNRWA, the UN agency that has deep links to terror, and there are calls for Australia to follow Trump's lead. But how significant is this announcement? What difference is it actually going to make in the Middle East?
Well, one, this sets a new stage. The UN has no right going into any place and telling it how to guide itself. The UN Human Rights Council, which China is a member of, can veto any movement. The UN needs to be completely restructured. We really should leave the UN. Trump has talked about it before. We fund too much of the UN. If we want to bring a world organization to the table for the West's interest, we need to be the sole provider of it. We need to pursue what is best for America and the West. And I guess Australia should follow suit here. We shouldn't be playing by rules made in Switzerland by countries that don't have our best interests at heart. So yes, the UNWRA, we all seen what they have done. They have been directly funding and aiding Hamas. They've been caught doing that. So again, removing funding there, I think Trump is going to take it a step further. I think we need to relook how America is invested in any of these organizations, whether it be the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the UN, whatever it might be. We need to assess what is best for America and the West and not have to listen to other countries' ideas here.
Absolutely. Now, the Trump administration has begun flying detained illegal migrants from the US to Guantanamo Bay. Now, the move comes just days after Trump announced that he would instruct the Pentagon to prepare the facility to hold around 30,000 criminal illegal aliens at the US military base. Here he is.
Guantanamo Bay is there enough space there to accommodate?
There's a lot of space to accommodate a lot of people, yeah, so we're going to use it.
Can you talk a little bit
We
more
have
about
it. It's
why?
already up. We have it for nothing.
Mitchell, what's your reaction?
Yeah, so currently one of the issues why we haven't seen the deportations at the scale the Trump admin would like right now is because of what we have in the detention facilities currently. We're sitting at the average across all the ICE detention facilities is 109%. Right now. So opening Guantanamo Bay for this allows us to place, again, 30,000 migrants at a time there and have the flights run out of Guantanamo. It's simply a logistical issue, and it's a much smarter decision than putting them at some of the larger U.S. military bases where we'd have to take land that's actually being used currently for military training and operations. Instead, we can use the Guantanamo, where we have this facility that we are paying for that is sitting unused. So right now, it'll most likely just be a logistical stop in these people's return to the country of origin.
Just changing the vibe of things at the moment, I have to talk to you about what Joe Biden is up to. The former president has signed with a major Hollywood talent agency just weeks after leaving the White House. He signed up with Hollywood's Creative Artists Agency, CAA, which boasts A-list stars such as Ariana Grande and Brad Pitt on its books. I mean, I was pretty shocked to see that news. Is anyone going to be booking Joe Biden?
Hey, listen, I'm going to take a different take on this. Good for him. You know what I want to watch? I want to watch Joe Biden on a big screen stumbling over words a little bit more.
We haven't had enough of that.
No, again, I get enjoyment out of it. I want to see his stand-up special. But no, yeah, I mean, this is obviously probably what was worked out for Joe Biden beforehand. For him to step out of this presidency, I believe that he was offered things that were going to come to fruition for him and his family moving forward. So I'm sure Joe Biden's going to have a very busy couple years of jobs that don't require him to show up that were booked via CAA.
GOP pollster and Director of Political Strategy at Signal, Mitchell Brown, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you for having me.